Okay, friends, you can see that I have somebody that's never been on with me before. Her name is Arabella Lumely. I hope I'm pronouncing the last name right.
Yes, you are.
And this is the video for May Day, May 1st. And the title that we've come up with is May Day, Celebration or Distress? Arabella, talk to us.
Yes. Um, so today is it will be tomorrow, May Day. So it's an interesting day, May Day. It's got a very rich history. It was originally Beltane, an ancient Gaelic festival. Um, but the whole idea of May Day, as me and Ron discussed a little bit earlier, is that it was a call for distress. So is this current situation a call for distress, or is there hope? And I do think there is hope. I do think so. I think right now things are very bleak. People are shut indoors. They want to get outside. It feels like the world's shut down. But I do think that what we're going through is necessary for the awakening. I feel like people are waking up at the moment like they never have done before. People have the time now to actually research things, you know, and it's actually quite amazing to see. I'm seeing people who, on social media and things, who don't usually ask questions, kind of actually questioning things. So yeah, we're definitely in for some interesting times, I think.
Are you actually locked into your home, or are you allowed to get out and go for walks and stuff?
We are allowed to go for walks, yeah. We're allowed to go for walks, but there's quite strict guidelines on what we are doing when we're out. So we are only allowed to go to the shops for essential items. We're only allowed to go outside, we're allowed to go for exercise, so walking or running. But if we go to a park, we're not allowed to sit down and have a picnic, even if, there's no one around us. I actually went to the park the other day with my daughter. I sat down to have a picnic, and I got told to go away because apparently, even still sitting down on the grass, not on a bench, you're not allowed. Well, they apparently, because benches, lots of people sit down on them. I thought that you weren't allowed to sit on benches, but apparently you're not allowed to sit on the grass even. So yeah, so it's pretty restricted here.
Well, when I went for my walk yesterday afternoon, I try to do 2 walks a day lately. And I
Yes.
went to this one park, and sitting at this little picnic table at the park were 4 men, and they were not social distancing at all.
Yeah.
They all think the whole thing is crazy.
Yeah, it is
And a lot
crazy.
of people do.
Yeah. I mean, initially at the beginning, because this was, I mean, from my perspective, it felt that this is a virus that, was possibly, it might not have originated from natural means. So I think, and many of us in the awakened community felt quite, I think maybe also were feeling a bit worried, like what is this virus and everything. So actually at the beginning, I actually supported the lockdown, and I thought, oh no, this is a good idea because we don't know what this is. But now as new information emerges, it just feels, more and more absurd. Like this, I don't think a strict lockdown is needed. I think, possibly some sort of social distancing and things like that, that could be good. But I don't think that this is, the kind of apocalypse that almost like the media is making out, really, to be honest.
Well, I agree with you, and I think it's a lot of fear mongering, although there may be things going on that they're trying to keep from us. Who knows?
Yes, exactly. I mean, yeah, there's a possibility that, well, you and me were saying that this might be, be done for not our own good, but maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that perhaps, it's not a good idea for us to be so out and about. I don't know. Or, is this like you know, a lot of what we're seeing, you know, kind of on social media and things like that, and, you know, people reporting and saying that this is actually, you know, an agenda, and it's to bring in, you know, a vaccination and all that. So it's always hard to know what's really going on, to be honest.
Well, let me ask you, if they wanted to tell you you had to take one of their shots, would you do it?
No, I wouldn't.
Me either. I said I'd have to take a bullet before I'd take one of their shots.
Exactly. I mean, you know, and the thing is that I was watching Bill Gates on, you know, BBC of all places, and he was talking about how they're going to have to skip some sort of safety trials. I mean, like, I just was so shocked that he would even sort of say that on TV. It's like they're trying to kind of actually, so if something goes wrong with, you know, let's say if they do get round to mass vaccinations and whatever, so it's like almost like they're trying to sort of save themselves somehow, you know.
Well, they've already exempted themselves from, in the legal system, from any repercussions, although there's ways around that for those of us that pay attention to alternative media.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I don't know, it's, yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't get vaccinated if they, I mean, you know, they would have to really force me to do it, to be honest. And I think there are so many people who will, you know, I don't think that a lot of people, you know, I think even people who are pro-vaccination will be quite skeptical of this, to be honest, you know?
Yes, well, my daughter, I don't know where she is now, but I know for a long time she was homeschooling her children because she wouldn't allow them to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
My grandchildren.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's, yeah.
But she worked in a health food store where she was getting information that was very helpful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think natural health, to be honest, is the way to go, you know, with your immune system and supporting your immune system naturally. I saw the other day there was something that the government of India put out to for sort of like their kind of public advice, was about sort of boosting the immune system, and they were talking about Ayurvedic medicine, homeopathy. They were saying, you know, like do yoga, exercise, you know, all that stuff that, you know, in the West they'll say, oh no, you know, like all that pseudoscience, or, you know, that doesn't help your immune system at all. They're saying, no, you know, just stay indoors, lock yourself in, don't go out, don't get, you know, don't be in the sun, and all those things that do help our immune system. They're telling us not to do, you know, don't take vitamin C, you know, it's unfounded, or, you know, it's
Well, they've
unfounded.
got people here in the apartments where I live going around trying to get people, giving people masks. And
Yeah.
I rejected the one. I have a bandana that I put on, so
Right.
that's like one of the outlaws. But I saw them down the hall just yesterday.
Yeah.
This man that stays in his apartment all the time. I mean, I've lived here over 3 years. I think I might have seen him three or four times.
Right.
All that time, he's just shut in. He doesn't go out. I heard him refusing the mask when they tried to give him the mask.
Really interesting. I know.
So there are people standing up to the whole thing, and to me, that's a good thing.
Yes, no, I agree. And that's the thing. I think this is the time for people to stand up, you know. And with this censorship that's going on, you know, that's something to really stand up for. Freedom of speech is so important. You know, this is the way that, you know, I mean, if we look at the past, we look at tyrannical governments and, you know, sort of control systems, you know, that's, you know, it was all about mind control and, you know, not allowing anyone to have, you know, free speech, not allowing anyone to speak up, you know. And, you know, this is something we really need to be concerned about, our freedom of speech, you know.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter, we can all have different opinions on things, you know, but the fact is that we've got to support each other's right to say it.
I totally agree. And the problem is, I mean, I've gone to some churches where I've was invited to speak, and then I've been shut down by some people in those churches because there's subjects that they consider taboo.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
And,
I mean, that's the
and those
thing,
are
isn't
the
it?
taboo things are the things we need to talk about.
Yeah,
Why are they taboo?
exactly. That's the thing. Why are they taboo? Why can't we speak about them? Why, surely the one thing I was saying the other day is that, if something's not true, if something's completely unfounded, then, surely the truth will always hold up. So if, you know, I mean, these can, sort of social medias and things like that, they're so worried about what we're saying. If these things that we're saying is misinformation and it's not true, then why are they so worried about us saying it? There's nothing to back it up, because surely truth always holds up in the end. It's just they're just so
Oh,
worried
hopefully
because
so.
what's that?
I said hopefully so.
Hopefully so, exactly. Yeah. But so why are they so worried about, people's, speaking about these things, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the reason why a lot of these, videos and, a lot of this information is going viral right now is because it is actually resonating with people, and people are seeing that there is truth to it.
Have you ever traveled outside of Britain?
Yes, I have. I was born in South Africa.
Oh,
Yes.
well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are in South Africa that I had forgotten that. I was told that, and so
Right.
I just remembered. But yes, there's a lot of people in South Africa that are doing wonderful things, and of course Zimbabwe
Mm.
is down in that part of the world also, and that's
Yes.
Zim. I mean, I have a Zim bond,
Oh, right. Okay.
and that's supposed to make me a billionaire. Now,
Ah.
I mean, I would just like to be more free.
Yeah.
Live with a limited
Just be
income.
more free. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. If we could just, if we can see things really change and, humanity's situation improve in the world, then, that would be a great start. We don't need wealth, we don't need, if we can just each of us have a better way of living and more freer and able to explore things, have the technologies that have been suppressed, have them come out. If we can have those things, then, you know, we'll have a wonderful life.
Yeah, well, there are cultures in various parts of the world where people actually don't depend on money and they cooperate. And when somebody's building a barn or a house or something, the whole neighborhood gets together to contribute. And I think
Yeah.
this would be a wonderful thing if we could get back
Yes.
to working together. But the truth is, we don't even know our neighbors a lot of times in the current society. And
No, we don't.
that's a
That's the
sad
thing. Community, community. It's that is something we really need to bring back. Human connection, community working together, and um, yeah, it's just because I think humans thrive in a community setting.
and
It's not really natural to live like this for us.
there are sometimes people that have to sow their wild oats and resist the community, and
Yeah,
but there's been ways that they handle that. They literally stop talking to the people and try to shame them, which I don't necessarily agree with.
right.
But
Yes.
these are some of the things that people have done over the course of time
Yeah.
to handle the dissidents, if you will. But
Yes.
now the dissidents are running the show. It seems like.
I know. Yeah. Goodness. I know. It's crazy. But I mean, sometimes I just, I get so kind of frustrated with what's happening here, and I think, oh my goodness, is this really happening? Like, is this really going on? Are we really living on a planet that, is run in this way? And it's just, it can be so frustrating. For so many of us who see through the illusion. But I think I think we do need to hold tight. I think there are better times to come, and it starts with each of us, doing what we can. I mean, my blog is called Small Ripples, so I'm all for creating small ripples and doing, small actions of good.
Now, what kind of interaction do you get on your blog? I've honestly, I've never been on your blog, but what you know, I'm sure you get some of the naysayers that attack you.
I
Or at
no,
least
not really.
I
I
do.
mean, well, the thing is that what with my blog is that I'm not really talking about anything kind of like this exactly. I'm more concentrating on helping people to step into their divinity. So I talk more about the spirituality, and I talk more about kind of what people can do to really kind of create a better life. You know, that's kind of my focus. So I don't really get any kind of attacks or anything like that, luckily. I've you know, I don't know, like very occasionally like something a little bit negative or whatever, but generally I get quite positive feedback, so that's good. I'm glad that I
How
don't.
did you get into the spiritual aspects? What were you raised in a religious home or?
So well, no, I wasn't really. I mean, I have a sort of Christian background. I mean, my grandmother was very religious Christian, and my mum was raised as a Christian, but my mum was actually more spiritual. And when I was a child, she used to take me to mind, body, and spirit festivals and things like that. Yeah, and I'd learn all about healing, and you know, I'd have she'd take me to get a picture of my aura done and things like that. So from a really early age, I was introduced to the spiritual kind of world. But I'd say that it's really been a passion of mine. I've always been a very philosophical person. I've always tried to kind of understand the deeper meaning of life and try to understand what's really going on here. And I've always been very interested in past lives. That's something I really I connect very deeply with a lot of my former lives. I sort of I kind of it's like I sort of have very vague memories of them, a lot of them. Um, so yeah, so I've always been really quite spiritual. But I think it was in 2011, I remember. That's when my real spiritual awakening happened. I went through this very dark period where I was like, I just felt very frustrated with the world. And it was like I was starting to see through the illusion. Like I didn't really know what was going on, but I just knew things weren't right. And I think for one, it's very, very random. I kind of one day I decided to research whether anyone had ever seen like a spaceship or ever like seen a, you know, an ET or anything like that. And and then I came up with all this information and, you know, about spirituality, and it kind of started from there. I started to realize that, you know, there are other beings on other planets, and, you know, I started to realize about the spiritual nature of the universe, and kind of everything just came together at that point for me, really. Yeah, and I've
That was the
never looked
beginning
back.
of your spiritual awakening.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, that was the beginning. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you mentioned David Wilcock and David Icke, I think in our before we started the cameras roll the
Yeah.
and those are two people that I've been watching for a long time.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of spiritual teachers out there that have greatly influenced us. And but David Icke is one of the ones that really was blowing the whistle, and then they mocked him when he was first starting out. If you know his
Yes.
story, I mean,
Yeah.
but
They did.
now he goes all over the world. Although they've shut down some of his conventions that he's had, they've had people booked and everything, and then they told him he wasn't allowed to do it. So
No, I know.
such
It's
crazy.
with David Icke, I find his story it's very inspiring actually, because what he went through, like the amount of ridicule, and you know, it was just, you know, on another level. You know, he was talking about these things, you know, when, you know, none of this was known. You know, like
Exactly.
no one, I mean, unless you kind of read books on this stuff because you didn't have the internet, then you wouldn't know. Whereas now, you know, it's amazing to see how far we've come, you know, how much more awakened we are, you know. But I think, yeah, his story, you know, because he had like basically an ego death, didn't he? you know.
Yeah,
This
well,
is
he was
about
a soccer
feminine,
player. He was a
advanced.
goalie, if I remember right. He was a goalie as a soccer
Yeah, I
player.
think
And
he was sort of like a football.
well,
He
British
worked in the
football.
media. He worked in the media, and he talked reporting on like the football and things like that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
he's one of my heroes. Although, as
Yeah.
as I said in previous conversation with you, I just can't handle 3, 4, 5 hour talks.
I know. Yeah, I I know what you mean about that. I think though I do find him quite fascinating to watch. I don't really get bored of him somehow. Like, well, when he's saying things, it's like it's always very like engaging, I think. And another one, as you mentioned, David Wilcock, I find the same with him. Like he can talk about, stuff that I've heard like, so many times before, but I still want to watch it because I find him so engaging. I don't know. They have some sort of unique kind of factor where you just kind of want to listen to whatever they say.
Yes, those are two Davids that I really appreciate.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny how though I think there was a bit of a rift between them. I think David Icke kind of doesn't really like
Oh,
David Wilcock too
I
much, but I
do.
think David Wilcock respects David Icke quite a bit.
Yeah, and I find that even in the spiritual community, uh, that there's so much vitriol, just
Yes.
attacking people that have a different point of view rather than listening.
Yes, I know. I know this is something that humanity really needs to learn, to accept people with different points of view. And I think it comes down to empathy, trying to kind of understand, why do they think that? Why do, and not attacking them, not hating them for thinking that, not, thinking, oh, I don't want to be that person's friend anymore because they don't think the way I do, or it's a real issue that seems to come up a lot. We were talking a bit about it earlier, and no one should be attacked for what they think and what they believe in.
Love
As long as
begins
it's
with
not
listening
harming
to
anyone.
me.
Sorry.
Yeah, love begins with listening.
Oh, it does.
I say it. If you can't love until you learn to listen to where the other person
Exactly.
is, let them tell their experience. It's their
Exactly.
experience.
Yeah. Compassion and understanding.
Exactly.
That's the key.
The fruit of the spirit is love. And
Yes, love.
that is compassion.
Exactly.
That is listening.
Yes.
That is
And
discernment.
it is, yes. I know. And love is so powerful. I was thinking yesterday about sort of the difference between love and fear, and I was actually thinking about how those two emotions sit in your body. I was like thinking because sometimes I think being a light worker, I don't know if this is something you ever have felt or ever had, but I'm sometimes do get slightly astral attacks. I don't know if this happens to you.
And sometimes strange dreams that are, where'd that come from? That doesn't resonate
Yeah.
at all. It seems out of my league.
Yes, yeah. I know and that's actually sometimes a lot of the time I do get attacked through my dreams. Sometimes my dreams will go on a very strange tangent, and I'll think that was an attack. And sometimes I can feel the energy. I'm like, okay, there's a really I'll almost become slightly lucid in my dream, and I'll realize I'm like there's a funny energy in this dream, and I kind of but I went through a very difficult experience a few years ago, and I really learned to kind of control my fear, and to kind of to not, because when you get into that fearful mode, that mode of fear, that's when these attacks kind of amplify. That's what I find, because that gives them that foothold. As soon as there's any fear, they really get in there. So that's why it's so important to try and stay in love, try and stay relaxed, calm. If you stay calm, it won't it you'll be okay. They won't be able to do anything to you.
I know I was in one past life regression where it actually brought me to tears because I know I've been a priest in a lot of different past
Ah,
lives.
interesting.
But in this particular one, I was a priest presiding over human sacrifice.
Oh
That
goodness.
really bothered me.
Oh
It was
goodness.
somewhere in the Americas before Europeans discovered America.
Right. Yeah. Oh no. That's awful.
Strange, strange stuff.
Yeah. Goodness, that must have been quite intense. Yeah. It's interesting to think about what we've sort of experienced in our past lives.
Yeah, and are they true or not? They seemed very real to me. Some of the
Yeah.
regressions that I've had, and
Right.
some of the dreams that I've woken up with, I could relate to, and some of them I can't.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think past lives can surface in many ways, to be honest. Like sometimes even I'll get like flashbacks in waking life occasionally of a past life. Like something will just trigger something, like a memory. And I'll go, whoa, I remember that. It's very strange.
Have you studied Gandhi at all?
No, I haven't actually. No, he's not, yeah.
Wasn't he originally from South Africa too?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I thought so. I mean, it's just coming to me now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, no, he was from South Africa, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know much about him actually, funny enough. He's not someone I study. I think I remember a bit from school, but that's about it. Yeah.
You know, having yourself coming from South Africa, that's sort of a surprise to me that because he's probably one of the more famous people that
Yeah.
the world in his day and age. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
we went to India, and that's where a lot of things happened.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I was born in South Africa. I haven't really lived there. So I moved here when I was a baby. So, I don't know, I don't have a sort of, I'm not as knowledgeable in South African history as I'd like to be, really, to be honest. But yeah, but he was a very important figure. I do remember that. And
Yes,
he did show the way of peaceful
India
resistance.
fell apart over the craziness of
Yeah,
the religious differences between Hinduism
yeah,
and Islam.
yeah. I remember that. And
So
he wanted to
we could
unite
learn
people,
to
didn't
listen
he?
and love like I keep saying.
Yes, yeah. It's interesting. I think Gandhi was one of the people Russell Brand talked about quite a few years ago. He did that Messiah complex, you know, what you might call it, sort of like comedy show. One of the things which was quite interesting, which he talked about, is that a lot of the people, like, you know, which we kind of consider as messiahs, and like Gandhi or John Lennon, or, you know, people that they actually had also a darker side to them as well. They weren't just always love and light.
Well, that's
And
the
I
human
guess
experience.
that's human, you know. Yeah.
By the way, I've got about 2 minutes to go, and so
Okay.
you know, closing thoughts that you might want to share with people.
Um. So I think the most important thing right now is to really stay in your light at this time. I think, you know, things seem uncertain, things seem a little bit scary, but I think the most important thing you can do is stay in your light, practice meditation, you know, channel the divine, you know, do what nourishes your soul, be who you are meant to be. And I think, you know, that is the most important thing. Whatever, regardless of the outer situation, regardless of what's going on, if you can, you know, really channel your divine talents, you know, into this world, then I think that we will have a wonderful future if all of us can do this. I think that's my advice.
My prayer is that we're all able to find a way to do that very thing and
Yes.
continue with a real mass awakening.
Yes, exactly. That would be wonderful.
Yes, good. So
Yeah.
is that about it for you today?
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, it's been wonderful chatting with you, and
Yes.
stay there when I shut the camera off because we'll
Yeah.
talk a little bit more.
Okay.
I do appreciate it and thank you. Uh,
Yes, it was a pleasure.